Hey guys, so prior to Christmas and my break, we did get the release of Spear, and like a lot of people out there, I have been playing a lot of Spear, really enjoying the playstyle. It's definitely a meta class at the moment, and one that we're seeing a lot more in terms of large scale and especially small scale PvP. It has a lot of potential, it can dish out insane amounts of damage, and we're definitely going to be seeing a lot more of this, especially as we get the buffs from Korea. Now, I do still play One Dagger, and I do fully intend on playing One Dagger a lot more once we get the mastery changes. We should get them in the next couple of weeks, and I think it's going to significantly change the class. But until then, or until anything changes, I am playing Spear Dagger, and I've tested a couple of different builds. I've got a couple of different builds available. I'm going to link in the description for you and cover off in this video. Ultimately, this is very much a melee assassin. It's similar playstyle to crossbow in the sense that you want to look to get as much AoE damage off as you can. You're definitely able to burst down big groups of people with spears. Lightning Infusion and Thunder Spirit make this incredibly punishing. More times than not, I will kill people without actually intending to do so. But we'll have a look at these builds. I won't make this video too long, and we'll cover off some of the details, the different builds that I've tested. Now, I think most people playing Spear Dagger have pretty much came to the same kind of consensus. There's a very good sort of staple build that we can run with this, and it consists of the two-piece Shadow Harvester and two-piece Phantom. It plays around having really solid evasion numbers. So if we look at this build without any evasion runes, we're still stuck at or sat at 1524 ranged evasion and 1418 magic evasion once you factor in the dodge roll as well from Dagger. Those numbers obviously hit over 2000. We are going to get a buff to one of our passives that's going to give us a further 410 ranged evasion, which means that ranged wise we're going to be in a really solid spot. I worked out to be around a 52 to 54% chance to evade ranged, which is really good. And because of that, I haven't bothered with evasion runes. For the most part, I've just put max health in my rune slots. Now, what I would say about this though is that if you have chaos runes and you can get max health chaos runes, I would replace the yellows with max health, and then I would look at evasions on the blues. I've got collision resistance in the yellows at the moment. To be fair, you can literally play with anything in those slots. They're not the greatest of slots overall, but collision resistance is still useful. Unfortunately, we can't really get a high enough number in this kind of build setup to warrant it, but again, my intent for those is to replace them with chaos runes and then have either double max health and really bump the health numbers up, or have max health and then evasion to bring our magic evasion closer to our range once we get that buff as well. But this is a pretty standard build. It plays around having minimal hit rating really. We don't need a lot of hit rating, so we're focused more on the damage output, hence the 70 dex. It's going to give us a ton of crit rating. This build sits at 1300, and then after you factor in retaliatory, that gives us, I think it's 800 on top of it. We're pretty safely outside the realms of endurance mattering against us. But the main reason that we want to increase our crit rating as high as possible is this damage variance that we have on Spear. So our min to max damage ratio is absolutely huge. And it's because of this that I favour crit rating over heavy on Spear. Now, heavy attacks are great when we get them, and we do get a lot of heavy attack from our build or from our shield as well. And again, with the changes coming from Korea, that's going to be up more consistently at around 18 to 22 seconds, depending on your cooldown reduction. We're going to have no real issues with heavy attack. The build does already have 350 in it, which means that we're easily going to be hitting those diminished returns from heavy attack. Because of that, I don't feel that going two-piece general is the way forward for the build. However, I did test that and I did enjoy it, and I was able to get a build that had the decent crit rating as well. But ultimately, the main focus here is that we need attack speed at a solid level, and 30% is where it really starts to diminish, which is why this build doesn't go over 30% like a lot of other people's do. We can get attack speed elsewhere through our skills and through our passives, which means that we're never really having an issue with attack speed overall. So this build is very well rounded. It has the 60 strength for the bonus health, it has the 70 dex, which gives us as much crit rating as we can realistically get with this build, and it really sits in a nice spot with evasions. The build that I was playing prior to this is the 2-piece Field General. You give up the bonus damage from Phantom, but it's not a huge amount in terms of how our damage profile looks. It does benefit us a lot more than it does other classes, similar to a crossbow, but it's still not up there on the same level as crossbow. So if you do have 2-piece Field General, this is definitely a solid build setup. Again, the focus on this was to get the crit rating up there, get the attack speed to a point where it's comfortable, and then look at the health pool and where we can be defensively sound. This does sacrifice, obviously, on the magic and the ranged evasion side, because we lose those stats from the Phantom chest and the Phantom gloves. But again, this is another really nice build to play. The build I'm currently testing and playing, though, is a range variant. So we sacrifice the bonus health from strength. It still sits us in a really solid position with our evasions. We're looking solid with magic evasion and ranged evasion on this one. We still benefit from the same attack speed. The big thing with this one, though, is we're using the heroic spear, and this is going to pull us up with the addition of the sapphire dimensional band to 26.6% range. Now, range has some really fun interactions with this build. Obviously, it extends the range in which you can leap. That's not the greatest skill in the world. It doesn't function the way we'd like it to at the moment. But the main benefits of having the added attack range is your auto attack range increases. The range that you can Explosive Fury also increases, which means you can get Ember stacks more consistently and safer without having to be too deep into a group of people. You can throw spears from further and they chain to further. And also your Phoenix Barrage frontal cone actually increases not just in the range at which you can hit, but the overall area that hits, which is a huge benefit. This build's great fun, especially in large scale where it's not as safe to jump into groups of people and get that damage off. And it's something that I'm playing around with at the moment to see how that feels. The other build that I have on here is with Tevant Daggers. Ultimately, this build is another one that's going to really benefit from Tevant Daggers and the stealth reset. It can be really obnoxious to get kills with spears, get stealth to get back out, and get the resets on that. So this build is definitely something you can transition into an arch boss weapon. I'll link this quest log in the description for anybody that wants to have a look at it. There are a couple of builds on here that I use at the moment, one of which is the Gate of Infinity build. This kind of build has been shown to get kill times on some of these bosses as low as 7 seconds. And also the PvP build that I'm running at the moment. This is a build that I run in large scale, small scale, pretty much all the same. It does sacrifice on the heavy attack that we get from the shield. This is a personal preference because I like to buff everybody in the group and have the heavy on demand, but ultimately it's something that you can drop and change. Then it just takes the main points that make this build all come together. So things like Lightning Infusion and Umbral Spirit are what are going to allow our spears to really pack that punch that just destroys groups of people like you saw at the start of this video. And then obviously Explosive Fury to get the Ember stacks. Javelin Surge, I don't feel we need the slow in large scale. In small scale, it is something that I like to add in. That's Phoenix Barrage, sorry, and this is Explosive Fury. Shadow Strike for the extra range. Rise and Slash, you can dodge roll cancel to make this a range skill essentially. It is technically a bug in the game, but these kind of dodge rolls just haven't ever been fixed and likely aren't going to get fixed, so getting familiar with this is going to really help. It allows you to detonate those ignite stacks from range essentially without having to go too deep. And then Abyssal Cleave is the stun that I prefer to use at the moment, purely because I feel it's a little bit more beneficial to be able to land this on clustered groups of people, and also having the critical cleave to be able to Abyssal Cleave into Phoenix Barrage is a really strong AoE nuke. Smokescreen gives us the protection that we need to essentially stand still and throw spears, and again having the range on the heroic spear and using that additional ring, or just the range on the spear in general, is going to allow you to not need to leave that smokescreen as much to be able to really capitalize on throwing out all 5 of those spears. Anyway, as I said, I didn't want to make this video too long, so I'll leave it there. Drop any comments in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you've got. The Discord that I set up for Darkblighters also contains a lot of information around Spear Dagger. There's a lot of people testing and trying out different things, so feel free to head on over and join that. I'll put the link in the description as well. and hopefully I will be back on to uploading videos a lot more consistently now that we're into the new year and moving forwards.